channel. It's your girl Ash. Welcome back to Ash's Room. So today, as promised, is the story of the naughty professor. And today I have some really good food and I'm really excited to eat because I haven't eaten all day, like literally all day. School started back up again and things are just ridiculous beyond all reason. Tried to put in a little bit more effort into the professional looks department today, so I hope it's not too much of an eyesore compared to my first video. But anyway, let me just tell y'all what I have today. I have Chinese food, but I did something a little bit different. I was really craving garlic parm wings, so I got the fried chicken wings from my local Chinese food restaurant, and I made my own garlic butter and stuff, so that's what you see here. And then I made like my own sweet and sour sauce because I forgot to get duck sauce, and I'll tell you a bit about why I forgot to get duck sauce. So I mixed that in with the rice and I heated it up on the stovetop, and then I have my my pork egg roll. But y'all, I'm starving, so let me get a prayer in and then we'll talk. Right? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for everything that you've given me. Father, I pray that you bless this food before me. Please make it a blessing and nourishment onto my body. In Jesus' most precious name we pray. Amen. So the reason, I'm going to dive right in. So the reason that I forgot the duck sauce, which is like really the only thing that I put in my rice, the reason I forgot it is because I'm very socially anxious. I don't like to be around crowds of people. Right now it's just after 5. Close to 6 p.m. on this side. And so it was the dinner rush and there was so many people in there. I just wanted to get in and get out. I forgot to get everything that I usually get. So, yep, got my pork fried rice. Well, the sauce that I made works, so that's good. And what I'm really interested in is what these wings taste like, because as you know, at your local Chinese food restaurant, I think they season their chicken very well. They let it sit in some kind of marinade because it has like, I don't know what all the flavors are. I think mirin is the sweet one. I don't know, don't ask me. But you know, they all kind of have like a really good flavor. So I don't know if what I did with this garlic parm wing situation is gonna work out, but we'll find out. So I'll show you this one. This one's looking pretty tasty. Again, don't pay attention to my nails, okay? Because we're just not gonna do that, all right? But there you go. Really good. So I'm gonna test it out and see if it works. And if you guys want like any of these weird recipe things that I do, just let me know. I'll upload some. Okay. All right. Actually works really well. Really good. And I'm sorry, please excuse me for like not constantly talking. I'm very new to this. I did it like a long time ago, like years ago, and I'm just getting back into it. So I'm trying to find my own groove, but to eat this without my duck sauce is crazy, but it's kind of hard to mess up an egg roll. So good. Just wiping my hands. So how is everybody? And pay no attention to this. I put everything on a cutting board because I wanted it to be like viewable instead of like in a whole bunch of like different cartons and stuff. So this is just like an old table. Well, I'm using it as a tablecloth now. That I have everything sitting on, so don't mind it. This is good. But yeah, how's everybody? I hope everything has been well with you. So hungry. And please excuse my bad eating habits. So, I mean, I'm just gonna get right into it. And please excuse me for looking at my phone as much as I do. I always worry about something getting stuck on my face. So I look in the in the view of everything to like see if I have anything on my face. Because in the first video, I noticed a little bit, there was like some stuff on my lip and I was like, oh, wipe it off. So I keep looking now to make sure I don't have anything on my lips, but so we're gonna get right into it. Now I have some food in me. If I can talk, oh my gosh. Okay, so the story begins with me. I wasn't really a good student when I was in high school. I didn't care about school, so I didn't really get good grades. And then my mom really wanted like me and my sister to, you know, make something of ourselves. So she was like adamant that we go to college right after high school. And I didn't perform well because one, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And two, I really did not care about school. I just got out of high school. I was looking forward to just like working and like having some money in my pocket for the first time ever in my life. I wasn't trying to go to college. Fast forward, I graduated high school when I was like 17. I graduated high school at 17, and then fast forward after getting a job in the hospital, I was like, okay, I want to be a nurse. Cool. So I start doing all of my prerequisite courses, you know, everything that you got to do like before you start nursing clinicals. And one of those prerequisites was an English course. Now, this teacher, for this English course I was in, I'm going to call him Professor School. So, Professor School was fine, okay? When I tell you this man looked good, he looked good. He was like 6'2", 6'3", really tall, movie star good looks, blue eyes, blonde hair. He looked very, very similar to the actor Alexander Skarsgård, if you guys know who he is and like who the Skarsgård brothers are. So anyway, he looked very, very similar to Alexander Skarsgård. And so anyway, Professor School, once he walked into class that first day, when I tell you, them girls went crazy. they went absolutely nuts. Like, you could immediately tell, oh, he. People started like fixing their hair, trying to look cute or whatever, so, and, of course, naturally, I was a young girl too. So I was like, oh, he's cute, whatever. But I didn't really pay much attention to it because at this point, I was I was 20. And I was still very much afraid of boys. I still hadn't had first experiences yet. So, I wasn't really thinking like maybe how these other girls were thinking. This is real good. I need to try this. 1 minute. So, Professor School will come in every day. And the way he would walk into, he owned the room. He knew he was hot. He knew it. He knew. So, the way Professor School would walk in, he would walk in, all the girls would go crazy, all the girls would giggle. And then I started to notice some things because it didn't necessarily make me feel uncomfortable per se. He was just, let's say, making it obvious. So he would come into class, and I was one of those students where I had to sit in the front because I had to get my A's. Like, I was going to sit in the front of the room, and the teacher was going to know who I was because I was going to be that student. Like, I was so sure of what I wanted to be when I grew up because I was definitely not grown. But I knew what I wanted to be, and I knew what I wanted to do. So I sat in the front of the class. And every day, I always sat in front of the teacher's desk. Every day, he would come in, and he would sit there, and he would look at me like in my face, like properly in my face. Like, so much so that the student that was sitting next to me, or was she behind? I think she was behind me. Anyway, she was either next to me or behind me, that she would be like looking at me and then look at him. And she was like asking me like, is he looking at you? And I'd be like, I don't know. So then one day he came in and he did his thing and he was just dead in my face. I don't know how else to and he was blatant about it too. And I don't understand why he was so blatant about it, but he was. So, I looked at him, he looked at me with his little smirk, and he was like, I don't understand something about you. And I was like, okay. He was like, you're so sweet and you're so quiet, yet you didn't really get good grades, did you? Homie actually went back and looked up my student record. I don't know do professors do that? Do they look back and see how their students have performed? Probably they do. I don't know, but I thought it was a big deal. I was like, why is he looking me up? But anyway, y'all let me know because I really don't know. So he was like, why? What happened? And I'm like, okay, well, when I was in high school, I didn't care about school. I was like, I know what I want to do now. So I'm determined. And he was like, yeah, he was like, that kind of stuff just doesn't make sense. And I'm like, guess it doesn't. I was really awkward. I didn't know what to do. He gave me a lot of attention, a lot of unwarranted attention. I mean, I felt kind of special, not gonna lie, because he was really cute. Really cute. But that I was very innocent and didn't really think much else of it. And he was young too. He was younger. He was probably early to he was in his 30s for sure. I would guess he was in his early 30s. There's no way he was a day over his yeah, okay. He was in his early 30s for sure. So was he married? I think he was married. Pretty sure he was married. So anyway, so then one day we have this assignment. And because of where my family's from, some people in that country speak Spanish, Belize. I don't know if any of you have heard of Belize, but that's where my family's from. So he knew this and he asked me, he was like, because we had a reading assignment that had like some Spanish words in it. So he was like, he was like, Ash, he was like, do you know Spanish? And I was like, yeah, a little bit. And he was like, okay, so as we read this paragraph together, you can go ahead and, translate what some of these words mean. And I was like, okay, cool. So, he would read this and this and that, and he'd be like, Ash, what does that mean? And I would tell the class what it means. And he'd be like, yeah, exactly. So then we would keep reading. And then he would say, again, Ash, what does this mean? I would tell the class what it meant. He was like, right. But then there was one thing in that assignment that I had no idea what it meant. None. So he said, and Ash, what does this mean? And I was like, honestly, I don't know. It was like, because all the phrases were like very simple, like Spanish phrases and like common words and stuff that it was easy for me to interpret. But this one, I had no idea what it meant. He came over to me, he bent down, and he said, it means, I don't want to get canceled on YouTube. Let me try to censor it a bit. He said, it means the universe. Now, when he said this, he bent down and was in my ear. He said, it means the universe. I was like, oh. Okay. So it was the emphasis on the CK and homie whispering it into my ear in front of the class. It was a little, because I mean, I guess he probably didn't know like who would be offended by it or whatever, but yeah. So I was like, okay, that was a very notable day. It was a moment that gave me like shivers. I don't think it was necessarily like in a good way, but it was like, oh my gosh, like a guy's giving me attention. Because honestly, at this point in my life, dudes never really talked to me. Like I had an online boyfriend, and we'll get into that in this story. But I had an online boyfriend, so like guys like never really talked to me. And I didn't really go out or anything. So again, I was like 20 years old and people are just not my thing. So yeah, that was like a real notable moment for me. And I was like, okay, something's getting a little crazy around here. So anyway, fast forward. So we had an assignment where we had to talk about somebody who was really important in our lives, or an event that was like, something important, something that like really, I don't know, made us happy or whatever. So for me at the time, it was my boyfriend, my online boyfriend. And I was like, oh, I'm going to write this paper on you. And he was like, don't do that. He was like, your teacher, after everything that you told me, he was like, he's going to fail you. And I said, he's not. Shut up. He's not going to fail me. So anyway, I proceed to write my paper on my boyfriend at the time. When I tell y'all, this man did not want to talk to me. He didn't look in my direction for weeks. I had questions. I raised my hand. The teacher started to ignore me. He started to ignore my existence. And I don't know if that's what today's current, I hear a lot of people talk about like toxic masculinity. And I don't know if that counts as it, but I was very confused. So the worst part about it is, in every assignment I did in that class, I was a good student. I got an A. This assignment that I wrote about my boyfriend at the time, he gave me a C. Okay? A C. And I wrote this assignment the same way that I wrote all my other assignments, where I was getting A's. So was my writing really just not up to par? Or was my teacher actually mad at me? So, I told my boyfriend, I was like, I got a C. He was like, I told you that was going to happen. I was like, I don't understand. I was like, I don't know what to do. So he was like, all right. He was like, here's what you're going to do. He was like, you're going to go to your teacher's office. And at that time, I tried so many times to like schedule and talk to him about like what I did wrong. He ignored me. When I tell you guys after class, like I raised my hand. I was like, oh, hey, Professor School, Professor School. He would walk out the freaking classroom, like walk out the classroom. So my boyfriend told me, he was like, all teachers have office hours. They have to be there. He cannot avoid you during his office hours. He was like, go there during his office hours and tell him that you lied about that paper. I was like, what? He was like, just tell him that you lied about that paper. And I was like, okay. So the next day, I waited till Professor School had office hours. I go into his office. When I tell y'all, that man did not want to see me. The attitude that this man gave me, like I felt uncomfortable at this point because I felt like this person like hates my guts. Like that was just the aura of the situation. So I go into his room and I'm like, Professor School, I was like, I think I know why I got such a bad grade. And he's like, okay. Like very dismissive. He was like, okay. And I was like, I think I got such a bad grade because I couldn't think of anything so notable in my life to write about. So I made it up. And I guess maybe it lacked authenticity. This man lit up like a freaking Christmas tree. And wait. He didn't say, oh, you made it up. Let's talk about it. He didn't say any of that. You want to know what the first thing was that he said to me? What this professor said to me, the first thing he said to me after I told him that I made up this story, he said, so you're not together? What? Legit. The first thing this professor said to me when I told him that I made up my paper, he said, so you're not together? And that was a mind equals blown. My eyes were finally open and I felt not so innocent anymore. And then he was like, all right. He was like, no, that's fine. He was like, well, let's talk about this, you know? And so he was like, you know, you could have done. This man literally marked every little itty bitty piece of thing that he could find and that he kind of maybe twisted to make it seem like it was wrong or incorrect. My paper was fine, y'all. My paper was fine because there's no way if my paper was that bad that he would raise my grade from a low C to a high B, almost an A. A high B. It was a low C, almost a D. Almost a D. He raised it to a high B. Have y'all ever experienced anything like this? Because that was nuts for me. Abso-friggin-lutely nuts. And then another thing that he said to me, you literally can't write this. Another thing that he said to me, he was like, I don't know what you want me to do here. He was like, you come in here, you give me puppy dog eyes. And I was like, I'm not giving you puppy dog eyes. Y'all, I got some big old eyes, okay? These eyes come from my mama. We just have big eyes. I wasn't giving him puppy dog eyes. I wasn't like, please help me. None of that. I was like, I think maybe, you know, he told me I was giving him puppy dog eyes. Anyway, for the rest of the semester, Professor School was nice to me. And that's it. I never spoke about my boyfriend again when I was in his class. I followed the rules and he was still nice to me, gave me lots of like extra attention and stuff. And that's that story. That story stressed me out. Remembering it and reliving it. That man was unbelievable. Have any of y'all ever, I have another story with a professor who was so inappropriate, but we'll get to that another time maybe. I'm exhausted from telling this story, like exhausted. But seriously, I would love to hear from you guys if you guys have ever had an issue with a professor or anything. And I mean, I feel like this also plays into one of them situations where like, if he wasn't so attractive, would I have felt safe? Because I didn't necessarily feel like I was like in trouble or anything. But if he wasn't attractive, would I have felt safe? Would I have felt even more uncomfortable than I already kind of did? like, I wouldn't say I was uncomfortable to the point where I was like, I need to report this. Like, you know, it's kind of flattering to get attention from somebody who's attractive. But when they're using their position to be manipulative, that's concerning, you know? But I would love to hear from you guys. Like, have any of y'all ever had some crazy experiences in college with professors and inappropriateness? Heck, even in high school. I got some stories about that. That's probably going to be my next video. But I'm sorry, I didn't really eat because I was into this story. But that, I'm going to make this like my last bite, is the story of me in Professor School. And I really hope that nobody has to go through something like that. You should not be like manipulated like that by somebody who's in a position of authority. You know, he's my professor. It doesn't matter who I'm dating. What he's supposed to do is make sure I succeed. But, you know. Sorry, y'all. I'm really bad at these eat with me's. Still trying to get my flow down. I did see Professor School again after all that. Turns out he worked also at a university I ended up transferring to. He saw me in the hallway. He remembered me. He said hello. But that's the extent of that second interaction. But you can talk about something else? Finish this piece. My neighbors are crazy, man. But, yeah. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'm sorry it was all over the place. I'm sorry I didn't really eat. But I would love to hear from you guys. I'm gonna go because these people are getting way too loud. So anyway, like, comment, subscribe, everything that YouTubers say, because I'm not really a YouTuber yet. So we'll see if this thing continues. But yeah, the next story is probably gonna be some things I experienced in high school, or I should say some things I witnessed in high school. But anyway, I hope you all have a blessed day, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.